technical players. We're going to complete qualification or discovery so we know what we need to demo. We're going to coordinate our infrastructure, and a terrific way to do that will be shared with you in just a few minutes so that we can demo what we need to demo. We will then create and deliver the components of our demonstration itself. So let's look at these individually. I love this graphic. How many of you have ever been in this situation where you've been screaming at your equipment because it's gone haywire? If that's ever been a problem, type yes in your dialog box. What I'm going to share with you now is I'm not going to say anything about this, but rather I'm going to leave it to Jason to give you some hope and curiosity on how you might improve your situation. Instead, let's take a look at a process for creating and delivering stunningly successful demos. We're going to start off for our example here with an introduction, and then we'll review the customer's situation and present an overview of the solution we'd like to propose. If that resonates with our customer, we're going to go into the solution itself, show them how it works very briefly, manage questions along the way, and summarize so our customers retain the points we want them to remember. So here's an example situation, and let us pretend for a moment that this is something like 15 or 20 years ago, and you've not heard of Microsoft Word. It's the age of pre-word processors. So you are, for example, a marketing manager in a software company. Then your challenge is you're behind schedule with a new product launch. The reason is it's just taking you too long to create the kinds of pieces you need for the launch. And in particular, what you're looking for is to be able to generate articles with the kinds of formatting, layout, and graphics you need to be able to support the launch. Note that in this demo, the deliverable that's being requested is the completed article. It's not a word processor, but it's the output from that word processor, a completed article. So based on that then, our example outline is to review the situation with our customer, make sure that the marketing manager's situation hasn't changed, and if that is the case, we'll then present the completed article right up front so they can see that this is in fact the deliverable that is possible. We'll then show them how to create that article literally in a handful of mouse clicks. They'll begin to ask some questions. They'll say, well, can I change the font? Can I change some of the formatting, the margins? We'll show them that they can do those things. We'll answer questions from the technical folks or the IT staff as necessary, and again, we'll summarize so they retain and take away the key points that we want them to remember. Now, the essence of showing them the last thing first is this concept called the illustration. The illustration is a visual or sometimes tangible way of communicating the end result of what your software provides for a customer. In Jason's case, as the VP of Sales of a mid-sized software company, what illustrated a solution for him is this handful of razor-sharp pencils that I shared with him before we actually went and showed him how to load them into the rack. In the case of our marketing manager, the illustration is a set of completed example articles formatted the way they're looking to see them. This is a terrific way to begin the process so they know where this is going. So with that in mind, if you think about, well, let's think about Jason's real life. The tool he uses to manage his process and track himself, if he is a VP of sales, is a forecast or a pipeline report. And if you're in Jason's office, you might expect to find examples of that in three typical places. Number one, on Jason's physical desktop, and right on top. Number two, on his laptop computer, and it won't be buried deep. It'll be an icon right on the surface. Or number three, in his briefcase or portfolio that he takes home at night. So with that in mind, I invite you just briefly to think about demos you have delivered or participated in, and if you had terrific illustrations that really would have resonated with the audience, with the customer, what might they have looked like? All right, now you've thought about that for a moment. Here's where we are in our demo. We've presented an example of that end deliverable right up front. The customer said, wow, that looks terrific. How did you get there? Now, let me ask you all a question. What is the shortest distance between these two annular points? And for those of you who are scientists or engineers, this is indeed Cartesian space. If you'll type it into your Q&A dialog box, that's right, it is a straight line. And that's exactly what we want to accomplish. We want to now go into our software and with the fewest number of mouse mouse clicks, we want to go from a logical starting point to get to that end deliverable in a straight line. This is known as just do it. And no apologies to Nike because I had the phrase first. In this do it pathway, we're trying to accomplish two objectives. Number one, proof. We want to prove that we can actually complete what we promised. And number two, we want to build a vision in the customer's mind that they can do this themselves. With that in mind, we want to do this literally in the fewest mouse clicks that it takes to go from a logical starting point to get to that end deliverable. And with that in mind, let me then ask a rhetorical question. How long should a do-it pathway typically be? If you'll type into your Q&A dialog box, yes, indeed, somebody has typed as short as possible, and that's exactly what you want. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to have an example to illustrate these ideas of, well, illustrations and the do-it pathway. Jason is going to both illustrate this and give you an appetizer, an example of what the Runaware capabilities look like using these kinds of ideas. So Jason, the show is yours, and then we'll come back in a few moments after Jason completes and finish this portion of the webinar.
Great, thank you, Peter. I appreciate it. So basically what I want to show you is an example of what Peter's talking about, how to really do a great demo. And as an example, I'd like to show you what Runaware does with software. So think about it in a way that instead of having to mail off a CD or to do a download or to have to schedule one-on-one time with every single client that you have, what if you could let them access your software online in a web browser in just a few minutes? And where we'll end up, as an example, is Act by Sage. You'll see their software right here in Internet Explorer. And what we do is we'll brand it, we'll wrap it up with their logo. We will put call to action buttons here so that when the prospect is done with their demo, they can either buy now or contact for more questions. And they will have all the full functionality of what Act can do for them. How many of you are familiar with Act? If you are, please type it into your question and answer box. If not, you'll still be able to see what we're talking about and get an idea and have a sense for what we're trying to do. So what I'd like to do next is show you how we get there. So I'll take you now to the Act website. And basically this is where it starts. For a software vendor, how do you get your prospects to actually take a look at your software and find the true value and do that in the easiest way possible? On the Act website, they have it very obviously here. You can download a free trial or take a test drive. You go to that trial page and they give you three options. Again, that test drive, the 30-day trial, download, or you can get a CD and have time to use that. For the purposes of this presentation, we'll talk about the online test drive. So again, fully branded. It feels like we've never left Sage's website. We'll start with an introduction, let them know what they're getting into. And next we want to ask a couple questions. What are we interested in? Peter, as a prospective customer of the Act product, let's ask you a few questions.
I'm ready.
Are you currently using another version of Act?
No, I'm not.
Okay. And if you buy Act, are you going to use it for yourself or do you have a team of people?
It'll be for myself.
Perfect. So now, are you in the U.S. or are you outside the U.S.?
Well, I'm in California, so you decide.
Okay, perfect. So basically, this platform is giving the ISV the ability to customize their questions and suit their specific needs and collect their prospects' information. So Peter will enter your information in here. You are Peter Cohen of Second Derivative.
That's correct.
And your title is Head Honcho.
Indeed.
And your phone number is?
650
650
631
631
3694.
3694. And we will put in his email address here. And if you'll notice, each time we enter a bit of information, especially the phone number and the email address, that bit of information is verified. Now, Peter, just to save some time, I'm going to enter in a fictitious address here. but I am sure we'll make sure everybody has your real address and way to get a hold of you before the end of the demo here. So now, the great thing that we also offer the clients is, what if you have a product that you'd like to upsell them on? When's the perfect time to do that? And in this case, that's before they actually launch the test drive. Now, Peter, do you think you'd be interested in regular Act Standard, or do you think you'd be interested in the premium version?
I hadn't thought about premium. I'd like to look at that.
Perfect. So let's try the premium version, and let's see what that gets us.